The older will serve the younger. So what is that supposed to mean? If we see that there's a constant rivalry between two kingdoms, right? So what does that mean? Is that the older will serve the younger, right? Is that in the end a resolution? Is that what will happen ultimately? And the answer is yes. The older means whoever comes out first will serve the younger. So of course we know Esau came out first, and of course we know Yaakov came out second. So that prophecy would say that Esau is going to serve Yaakov. In other words, that's the resolution. You shouldn't think that this is going to go on for all time. No, there's going to be a resolution. Whatever happens, the resolution must be where the older will serve the younger. That's the resolution. You see? So in what way? What is that supposed to mean? So therefore, the older will serve the younger if the older remains righteous. Because that's really the job of Esau. The job of Esau is to serve Yaakov. Why? Because the job of Esau is to contend with the world, the physical world, right? And to subdue it toward righteousness, to channel all the physicality towards spirituality. And of course the job of Yaakov is spirituality. Esau can do it by becoming as an of. Interesting, right? He can do it by becoming a persecutory agent, which he became, right? Or he can do it by helping Yaakov spiritually and assisting him to do the tikkun, one, to do the rectification, and to protect him from nations that want to destroy him. So we see, which is really very important, the real relationship between these two people. It's a very important idea. So we can imagine, right, that this has been going on for what? Thousands of years. Whether it be through Esau or Edom or Rome or Christianity or Western civilization, for instance Europe, with the Holocaust and so on, they have been wiping out the Jews, you see, which is obviously a very important idea. Now, where do you really see this also? Because again, in the end of Parshas Vayishlach, the Torah says, Ve'ela hamalachim, and these are the kings. It's about to enumerate the descendants of Esau. So it says, Ve'ela hamalachim, and these are the kings, right, that dwelt in the land of Edom before there was a king in Israel. Esau, who in modern day terms is really basically, certainly one of them is America, and America is slowly turning, especially Trump, toward Israel. We know that the tikkun, the rectification of creation, is done by mitzvahs, commandments, tshuva, repentance, and yisurin, which is suffering. We know that. Now, the one who administers yisurin, we also know, I mentioned before, that there are really 8 persecutory agents. There are 8 countries that when Jews have to be punished in order to atone for whatever sins they did, then God assigns this persecution to 8 nations. And the interesting thing about it is that when a nation does persecute the Jews, they become great. I've said this in the past and so on. And I mentioned, of course, who they are. The first one was Egypt. Then there's, of course, Babylon. There is Persia. There's Greece. And there's Rome, right? Then I mentioned also there are 3 others. You have what's called Yishmael, Islam, or the Arabs. Then you have, besides Yishmael, you also have the Erev Rav, which are the Jews that really, in many ways, contest the whole validity of the Torah. And you have Amalek, which ultimately is, in many ways, the last nation. So therefore, these are the 8 nations that in many ways persecute the Jews, and therefore they serve as the agents that will administer suffering, and therefore the Jews will have what's called a kapara, an atonement. So therefore they can achieve what's called an expiation via these nations, and of course, that serves them with the ability to get the future world. Who is Rome, and so on? Who is Esau? Because Esau is not only a persecutory agent, but it's the greatest of all the persecutory agents, and it is the longest. It's been around with us as not in the form of Rome, which I will mention, but it has been around for a long time. thousands of years. And therefore Esau is the greatest of the persecutory nations, and it is the longest. It all started, of course, with Esau. Esau became Edom, which is a nation. Edom became Rome. The Torah says Esau is Edom. The Gemara says, the Talmud says, that Edom is Rome, Zuroimi. Okay, but what's interesting, of course, is that God decided that he doesn't want a nation, or rather Rome, a nation to be the greatest persecutory agent for the Jews, because that would mean that until the Mashiach comes, Rome has to be the major dominant force or nation in the entire world. And God does not want that. As it is, Rome was, a nation for at least probably close to 1,000 years. And then the one in Constantinople went even another 1,000 years after that. So what God did, which is interesting, he changed the form of Esau. Instead of it being Rome, it became Christianity. The concept of Esau as Edom and as Rome was changed, transformed into a religion. So therefore, any nation that has that religion can be considered Esau. See? So therefore, it's not one nation that is now 2,000 years or whatever, but it is a religion, and any nation that has that religion predominantly is called Esau. And that's what happened, you see. So Christianity, of course, ultimately became Western civilization. So Esau today is really Western civilization, because Western civilization is basically Christian, and therefore that is considered to be Esau.